Hello everyone, and welcome back to our channel. Today, we're diving deep into a topic that powers our world, alternating current, or AC. Ever wondered how electricity from the wall socket is different from a battery? By the end of this video, you'll know exactly why. Let's start with the basics. Imagine a wave, like one in the ocean. It goes up, it comes down, and it repeats. That's essentially what an AC signal does. It's a sinusoidal wave. This means the current doesn't just flow in one direction like DC from a battery. Instead, it continuously changes direction, flowing back and forth. The voltage does the same thing, alternating its polarity from positive to negative and back again. So how do we describe this wave? We use a few key terms. First is the time period, which is the time it takes for the wave to complete one full cycle, from the start up to the highest point, down to the lowest point, and back to the start. It's measured in seconds. Closely related to this is frequency. Frequency is how many of these complete cycles happen in 1 second. It's measured in hertz, or Hz. In many parts of the world, the AC in your home has a frequency of 50 hertz, meaning it completes 50 cycles every second. In other regions, like North America, it's 60 hertz. Next up, we have the peak value. This is the maximum value the current or voltage reaches during a cycle, both in the positive and negative directions. Think of it as the highest point of our ocean wave. While the peak value is important, it doesn't tell the whole story about the power an AC circuit delivers. For that, we need something called the RMS value, which stands for root mean square. You can think of the RMS value as the AC equivalent of a DC voltage. For example, a 230-volt AC supply delivers the same amount of power as a 230-volt DC supply. It's the effective value. To calculate it for a sinusoidal wave, you take the peak value and divide it by the square root of 2, which is about 1.414. So the RMS value is roughly 70.7% of the peak value. This is the number you usually see quoted, like the 120 volts or 230 volts from your wall outlet. Now, things get really interesting when we see how AC behaves with different electronic components. Let's start with the simplest one, a resistor. When a C flows through a pure resistor, the current and voltage are perfectly synchronized. They rise and fall together, reaching their peaks and crossing zero at the exact same time. We say they are in phase. The relationship is straightforward, just like with DC. Voltage equals current times resistance. Ohm's law still holds. But what about a capacitor? A capacitor stores and releases electrical energy. When you connect an AC source to a capacitor, a fascinating thing happens. The current actually reaches its peak value asterisk before asterisk the voltage does. It's like the current is leading the way. We call this phase lead. The current leads the voltage by 90 degrees, or a quarter of a cycle. This is because the current must flow first to charge the capacitor, which then builds up the voltage across it. The opposite happens with an inductor. An inductor is basically a coil of wire, and it resists changes in current. When you apply an AC voltage across an inductor, the voltage reaches its peak asterisk before asterisk the current does. The voltage leads the current, or you could say the current lags behind the voltage. This phase lag is also by 90 degrees. The inductor's opposition to the change in current causes this delay. So, in a resistor, voltage and current are in phase. In a capacitor, current leads voltage. In an inductor, current lags voltage. Now, what happens when we combine these components? Let's look at a series RC circuit, which has a resistor and a capacitor in series. Resistor tries to keep the current and voltage in phase, while the capacitor tries to make the current lead by 90 degrees. The result is a compromise. The current will lead the voltage by some angle between 0 and 90 degrees. Depending on the values of the resistance and the capacitance, the total opposition to the current flow in an AC circuit is called impedance, represented by the letter Z. It's not just resistance. It's a combination of resistance and the opposition from capacitors and inductors, which we call reactance. Because of the phase differences, we can't just add them up like regular numbers. We have to treat them as vectors. For an RC circuit, the impedance Z is the vector sum of the resistance R, and the capacitive reactance XC. You can visualize this as a right-angled triangle where impedance is the hypotenuse. Similarly, for a series RL circuit with a resistor and an inductor, the inductor makes the current lag. The overall result is that the current will lag the voltage by an angle between 0 and 90 degrees. Again, the impedance Z is the vector summation of the resistance R and the inductive reactance 40. Understanding impedance is crucial for designing and analyzing all kinds of AC circuits, from simple filters to complex electronics. Finally, let's talk about the power that gets delivered to our homes and industries. Most of the time, it's not just a single AC wave. It's a three-phase AC supply. Imagine not one, but three AC waves, all with the same frequency and amplitude, but they are offset from each other. Each wave or phase is separated by 120 degrees. Why do we do this? Three-phase power has huge advantages. It can deliver more power more efficiently than a single-phase supply of the same voltage. It also allows large electric motors to run more smoothly and start on their own without special starting components. It provides a more constant, less pulsating power flow. That's why heavy industrial machinery and power grids almost exclusively use three-phase AC. Your home might only use one of these phases for your lights and outlets, but the power that gets to your neighborhood is almost certainly three-phase. And that's a complete tour of the fundamentals of alternating current. We've covered everything from the basic sinusoidal wave, frequency, and peak values, to the crucial concept of RMS. We've seen how AC interacts with resistors, capacitors, and inductors, leading to the ideas of phase lag, and impedance. And finally, we touched on the powerful and efficient three-phase supply that runs our modern world. I hope this has made the world of AC a little less mysterious. It's a fundamental concept in electricity and electronics, and understanding it opens up a whole new level of insight. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you won't miss our next deep dive into the fascinating world of science and engineering. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.